Good afternoon and welcome to the show. It's episode 10 of The Paper Thing, season 4. Talking loudly because many things are happening. We're going to start with the Telegraph because it's always the most... It's just very loud. It's all the noise. My microphone picks everything up. Right, there we go. Now it's opening this. What's going on? Stop it. Right.
I made the noise stop.
Okay. No, I was saying the computer to stop it.
Oh, but not me.
No.
Thought you were just being horrible.
No! I'm not I'm not. No, maybe people think I'm horrible. I'm not horrible. I'll try not to be anyway. Right. Anyway, I haven't actually started yet. Let's just make that a false start to the show. Right, welcome to The Paper Thing, Season 4, Episode 10. John Lewis, Did He Die in Vain? It's a 3-paper show today. Hello, Studying Fangirl, how you doing? It is a 3-paper show today. We've got the Times, the Telegraph, and the Daily Mail on today's show. Oh, God, everything is so annoying today. Stop it, go away. Oh, make sure you have a lemon sip soon.
Okay.
Yes, welcome to the show. I am your host, the Broken Bottle Boy. And yes, this is what we're doing today. Today, expect the usual flim-flam about John Lewis, because that's still going. Expect more stuff about Boris Johnson's flat. At this point, I think that they should be doing tours around it. And expect some of the worst commentary available from the British media. Hey, Mark Canosis, how you doing? Good afternoon. I hope you're having a good day. Hello again to Studying Fangirl. Hello also to another TT viewer, Carbot14XYZ, and Discord for streamers. Right, so we're going to start with the Daily Telegraph because it's the most annoying one to read. At the top of the page, Alistair Heath says the EU stupidity will spark a new Brexit war. Well, the Telegraph would say that, wouldn't they? Mark Canosis Uni Concert Series is back on, so you'll be double tabbed with an Afro-Latin percussion brass duo. I can't think of a better way to enjoy me shouting about the British media than with that backing. Also on the front page, Michael Deacon, a writer who used to be relatively untelegraph-like, gets increasingly unhinged as time goes on. Today's piece, besmirch the good name of John Lewis at your peril. Again, as I covered in the newsletter yesterday, and if you missed it, just go to brokenbottleboy.substack.com to read it. The John Lewis comment was an anonymous one, attributed to a visitor to the Downing Street flat rather than Carrie Simons or the Prime Minister himself. But today we have Sam Coates of Sky News asking the Prime Minister if he hates John Lewis or not, and the whole circus continues. Right, front page of the Telegraph, though, in terms of main stories. Incredibly safe for 2 vaccinated people to meet freely is the quote from Jonathan Van Tam, which, of course, the Telegraph is on. Yes, salute to you, Ashikan. Good to see you. They traffic some Republican talking points for a small story headlined Biden tax hikes attacked as un-American. John Lewis the store. Yes, that's right, Studying Fangirl. Mark Canosis, the John Lewis thing will absolutely be the most damaging, though. Cuts right to the heart of Middle England self-conception. It does, but it'll be gone soon. As I wrote in today's newsletter, which is about... what is today's newsletter about? How the Sun hasn't deserted Boris Johnson. Once the local elections happen and Labour gets absolutely shit-canned in those, this stuff will drip away. And you'll notice that inquiries that were a big deal last year, such as the inquiry into Johnson's free gratis holiday, will... disappeared. This will disappear too. Ashkan, I'm dreading the entirety of the country becoming predicated on everyone having a vaccine to do anything and young people still not having any vaccine access. Yeah, me too. And I think that is sadly looking like it's very likely. Sorry, I was just putting the blind down to reduce the amount that my face was completely whited out on one side. Hey, this scandal has cut the poll lead down to 8 points. Yeah, and it'll go back up again. It'll go back up again. The fact is, they shouldn't be in the lead in the poll. If there was a competent opposition, they wouldn't be leading the polls. Johnson may be forced to hand over emails about the flat. This is very likely to happen. The Electoral Commission has the powers to compel him, and if I were running that investigation, I certainly would.
The power of Christ compels you.
Yes. On the a study by academics at York University suggests that deodorant has overtaken cars as a smog threat. I'm dubious about that, I have to say. A bored shopper, Gareth Wild, misnamed, 39, parked in all 211 permissible bays at Sainsbury's in Bromley, southeast London. He's apparently become an online sensation because of this. Park Life is the headline. Shopper uses every supermarket bay. And he created a map of God-tier parking spaces and ones to avoid in case anyone else wants to make the pilgrimage to Bromley Sainsbury's. Good afternoon to you, Yodi Stomach Pump, highly valued subscriber. And to you, Yo-Yo, how you doing? Also promoting the comment on the front page from Judith Woods, who says, a good dose of gossip is good for the soul. Funny enough, there's also a gossip-based comment in the Times. Mark Cano says, love to stand on my roof with a wholesale box of links and let them off into the sky. Nice. Manchester City look likely to compete in their first Champions League final as they won over PSG yesterday and got with 2 away goals. And BT is looking to offload its stake in its TV arm, possibly to Amazon, Disney, or DAZN, which is an international sports streaming venture, does a lot of boxing stuff. Inside the paper, Arlene Foster steps down as leader after DUP coup. Yes, Arlene Foster not adequately bigoted for the uber ultra super speed bigots of the DUP. Reflect on good of the empire, says Race Report author. Tony Sewell will not shut up. He says Britain should reflect on the good of the empire. Tony Sewell, an education consultant, was commissioned by the government to investigate race disparity in British society, and last month concluded we no longer see a Britain where the system is deliberately rigged against ethnic minorities. The report also said that Britain should be a model for other white majority countries. Now at a virtual event by the Policy Exchange, there's a bunch of right-wing vipers. Dr. Sewell's first public event since publication, he reiterated his calls for a national curriculum that includes a retelling of the slave trade that will reflect the good and evil of the empire. Fucking hell. But they knew when they hired him he was going to do this. Space Explorer triumphs at local Sainsbury's is the way that they continue their, I would say, excessive coverage of this man, Gareth Wild, who parked in all of the possible parking spaces at a Sainsbury's in Bromley. They print his map just to really go for that.
In order, or, was it sequential?
I don't think he did it sequentially, no. His social media thread, including diagrams, spreadsheets, and an explanation of his methods, had yesterday received almost 90,000 likes on Twitter and 15,000 retweets. After a decade of doing his supermarket's weekly shop at the same supermarket, Mr. Wild, 39, decided in 2015 that he would spice things up by setting himself a challenge. Describing it as comfortably in his top 5 Bromley car parks, he said, wow, I could probably park in every single one of these spaces given enough time, and time is on your side when you're doing the weekly shop. It's a long time to do anything, let alone something as trivial as this. I've been through 3 different cars in that time. I find enjoyment in the little banal things. There you go.
Why is he free 3 different cars?
Because he's been doing it for years.
Yeah, but like cars last a long time. Is there no cook left?
There's no Coke left. Do you want Coke?
No.
It was quite flat. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, Chronotherm. People mock dogging or miniature shipbuilding, but a man who parks in different spaces gets national coverage. Yeah, they should cover drill tweets like this. 3 cars. What good did the Empire do exactly? Yeah, fucking none. Bullshit about railways usually is what they go for. Sakir attacks PM over renovation costs for Downing Street flat. Johnson says put up or shut up over bodies pile allegation. I think he'll regret that. And Prime Minister puts faith in standards advisor with royal pedigree. It's Lord Geit, the former private secretary of the Queen, has been picked to be Boris Johnson's new ministerial standards advisor. And of course we know the royal family are a family that have very high standards and would never be involved in corruption, or for instance, I don't know, just picking an example off the top of my head, a friendship with a convicted sex offender. Almost 70% of adults have COVID antibodies. Claim new is the finding of new figures from the Office of National Statistics, showing that 68% of adults have some level of protection against the virus. Spain to welcome Britons if UK reciprocates. Charles makes personal donation of hospital supplies in India. Propaganda. Children rediscover the joy of reading during lockdown. I thought we were told that they were all their brains were turning to a form of mosh. Yodi Stomp Pump says, old Harry Hill joke. I went to a restaurant called the Taste of the Raj. The waiter hit me with a stick and made me build a really complicated railway. It's a good joke. You go. The best thing Empire did was create a genre of military fiction. That's not a high amount of good. Mark Canosa, speaking of, I take it you saw the huge coin. How can it be the Queen's Beast and not have Prince Andrew on it? Yeah, I did see the coin because a person in the room sent it to me early this morning. Yeah, the Queen's Beasts and not have Prince Andrew on it. Exactly. No coins. Giggs degraded, abused and belittled former girlfriend is the coverage of that court case that's starting. Disgusting, if true. Hong Kongers flock to buy London home. Proportion of London homes bought by Hong Kongers has quadrupled since a new visa scheme allowing residents of the island to relocate to Britain was announced last July. Yeah, no shit. Police charged over photos of dead sisters. 2 policemen have been charged after allegedly taking photographs of the bodies of 2 sisters who were stabbed to death in a London park. Disgusting. Wasn't the Queen's Beast her nickname for Philip's Wang, says Chronotherm. Suffering, of course, because the Daily Telegraph is extremely racist, puts suffering in quote marks. Suffering son of hate cleric blames father as he's jailed for drug dealing. Son of Abu Hamza, the radical Islamist cleric, blamed his father's arrest and extradition for his life of crime as he was jailed for drug dealing. Yasser Kamal, 31, is one of 8 children of Hamza, the former imam of the Finsbury Park Mosque, who is serving life without parole at a supermax prison in the United States. Kamal was caught with cocaine, MDMA and ketamine worth £30,000 when police raided his flat in Park Royal, London in December 2019. Southwark Crown Court was told he admitted 2 counts of possession with intent to supply Class A drugs and 1 count of possession with intent to supply of Class B drugs. They go on a lot about Hamza's hook hand there, and yeah, I mean, you know, this guy has hardly had a normal or easy life. Whatever. Put it this way: if he was a white guy that was found dealing like that and didn't have the same dad, maybe he'd have got a lighter sentence. I don't think Phil would like it being referred to as a wang to Orientals, as Mark Canosis. Wind farms threaten immense ice shelf collapse in Antarctica, writes the Telegraph's foreign staff. Harvey Goldsmith, the music promoter, is to auction a Les Paul gold top guitar signed by Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Eric Clapton, George Harrison, Johnny Cash, Ronnie Wood, Neil Young, Stevie Wonder and Willie Nelson, among others. I don't know what he's auctioning it for. Biden sets out his new deal to improve family life in the US, is the framing of that. Ambitious plan to focus on human infrastructure of childcare, parental leave, and community college. All sensible policies, to be honest. Trump's lawyer's home is raided as Ukraine investigation picks up. Hilarious turn of events with Rudy Giuliani there. Judith Wood says a good dose of gossip is medicine for the soul. Robert Dingwall, real name, says COVID anxiety's taken hold of scientists. Con Coughlin, who is in no way a British intelligence asset, or at least a very close friend of theirs, says Biden's weakness is a gift to America's enemies. In the leader columns, the Telegraph attacks the BBC and writes about the car parking guy again. And Alistair Heath says the EU's abominable behaviour is about to spark a new Brexit war. Well, that's what he hopes. Mark Kenosis, I bet Stevie Wonder's signature looks like shit. Jesus Christ. Slinkermeyer, good afternoon. How are you doing? Let's see what the Telegraph readers think of the investigation of Boris Johnson. Philip Collison of Norfolk says, please, can we go back to talking about Brexit or COVID or statues or anything but who paid to decorate the PM's flat? Quite frankly, I couldn't give a flattened sombrero. Sally Goymer says, sources unwilling to be named should keep their mouths shut. I think Laura Koonsberg's reporting on Sir James Dyson was a disgrace. Linda Bezkeen, real name, says, 20 years ago, Derry Irvine ordered wallpaper that cost more than £58,000 mentioned with that cost more than the £58,000 mentioned with relation to Boris Johnson's flat. His redecoration burned through £650,000 by the taxpayer. My eyes cannot stay focused on this confected outrage. Dr. Michael Blackmore says, will the inquiry cost more than the refurbishment? Almost certainly. And David Hutchinson says, the President of the United States has the White House and Emmanuel Macron as a palace, while our Prime Minister has a modest flat. Tony Blair spent in excess of $285,000, around $400,000 today, yet not a word was uttered. That's because the flat needed serious renovation. Raising this is to an election-defining issue that reflects the lack of real policies and real opposition by any other parties. Hence the reversion to mudslinging. And Terry Smith of London says, the Electoral Commission, notoriously pro-Romain and Boris loathing, has announced with fanfare in the support of the BBC an investigation of the Downing Street redecoration farrago, even though it's not yet sure whether it is a locus or if the works fall within the regime regulated by the Commission. If it could damage the Prime Minister's standing with the pet-loving public, I am confident the Commission would investigate who is paying for feeding the Downing Street cat. Fuck off, Terry. Fuck the lot of you. Isn't Downing Street basically a warrant? Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, that little head-shaking sigh, that's the reaction I want. I might be wrong, but doesn't the Downing Street terrace front basically back onto a courtyard with a big house behind? Yeah, effectively. Elections are pro-Remain. We heard it here first. Yeah. Hey, Ged Station, how you doing? Chronotherm, Biden showing weakness by spending money on the poor and not bombing Muslim-majority countries, pretty much. Referendum for Brexit too. Brexit harder, yeah. And here's some really disgusting, slobbering, elite, royalty-loving bullshit from the ever-reliable Camilla Tominey, who writes, Seesaw secret to William and Kate's balanced marriage. On the Cambridge's 10th wedding anniversary, Camilla Tominey reveals the formula for their enduring love affair. Well, if you read the... What's that? Yeah, if you read the foreign press, you may find that the secret is the fact that she doesn't have to service William very often. Features, like Tony, I'm letting my lockdown locks flow, writes Adrian Bridge. Give a fuck. Michael Deacon says, Prime Minister, be warned, you besmirch the good name of John Lewis at your peril. Never fucking said it. Focus on real issues, you cunts. In the Future of the Work, the Future of Work series they're writing, the pandemic has changed how we deal with sickness at work. Has it? And Ben Fogel, who was at William and Kate's marriage 10 years ago, says, 10 years on, my memory of the wedding of the decade. Oh, fuck off, you obsequious little cunt. Chris Benyon says, Megabucks and bombast, how TV stole film's crown. People have written that piece has been written about 100 times. In the arts agenda, Ben Lawrence says, Equity's new rules for critics threaten freedom of speech. Last week, the acting union Equity delivered a new set of guidelines for theatre critics. Among its recommendations was that critics should consider their ethnicity and relative privilege when writing their reviews. The union urged that they avoid referring to immutable characteristics such as age, race, gender, and appearance unless such characteristics directly affect the production's meaning. I can't see anything wrong with that. He says, for a decade I have been a critic across several art forms, including theatre, and while I hope that out of fairness I have always adhered to the above, I am appalled that Equity are trying to tell me what I can and can't say. Oh, fuck off. They're not. It's just guidelines. Twat. Okay, obituaries. Michael Collins, pilot of the Apollo 11, command module, who became the forgotten man of the moon landing. He wasn't forgotten, man. He was the first person to do two spacewalks. Sorry, he did loads of first time things. He also, was amongst the people on one of the most important space missions ever. Hugh Francis has died. He was Labour MP and historian of the struggles of the South Wales miners. And Sir Michael Oswald, manager of the Royal Studs, who advised the Queen and the Queen Mother on breeding racehorses, has died. He died on April 17th, so they just got round to him. What sounds like good writing advice? Good to hear Telegraph readers are firmly walking the party line and focusing on the flat rather than everything else that's so much worth. Agreed. The Royal Polycule, says Yu-Gi-Oh! Secret is the large staff they can afford. Ashkin, got to love the establishment media's prodigious ability to misdirect. Yeah. And they're trying to get you to go on a cruise in the TV recommendations. A tribute to coppers who stood up to corruption. Bent coppers crossing the line of duty. Gets 3 stars. Saved by a Stranger, presented by Anita Rani, is the recommended TV show today. Gardening with Carol Klein on Channel 5 at 7 p.m. is also on. Frank of Ireland, 10 p.m. Channel 4. Bridesmaids, Secrets and Lies, 10 p.m. More 4. The Dog House, 8 p.m. at Channel 4. This Is My House, BBC One, 9 p.m. And Escape to the Farm with Kate Humble, 8 p.m. Films you could see today. The Blue Dahlia is on right now on Film 4, but you can always catch that up. Spy Who Loved Me is on tonight, ITV4, 9 p.m. And a documentary about A.P. McCoy is on BBC 4 at 10 p.m. There you go. Get all the Telegraph readers on a cruise ship and crash it into the one full of male readers, says Slinkermeyer. Hey, Terrorites, how you doing? Yeah, the equity thing about race. Yeah, good writing advice. I agree. Right, so that was a Telegraph. Give me your scores. For me, a minus negative nice. A double negative nice. So it's a minus 69 from me. That was the Daily Telegraph. Right. Let's do the roll call before we move on to the Times. I am, of course, the Broken Bottle Boy. You can follow me on Twitter at Broken Bottle Boy, and also on TikTok at Useless Conquest. In the chat so far today, we have another TT viewer, Added Tracks, Ashikan, Carbot14, XYZ, Commander Root, Discord for Streamers, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Ged Station, Industrial Pet, Chronotherm, Mark Kenosis, Mogshed, Selinka Meyer, Studying Fango, Yodi, Stomach Pump, Yuan, Zoe Brings Bacon, Teo Wrights, who isn't showing up on the list but is here. Right, so here are the scores. Mark Kenosis gives it a minus 100. Yu-Gi-Oh! Comes in with a minus 10,000. Slinker Meyer in with the double negative nice. Jed Station in with a minus 1,000,000. Chronotherm in with a minus 69. The favourite of Wills and his mistress. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Can confirm that my TikToks are good. Thank you, Yu-Gi-Oh! Much appreciated. I'm actually going to do some proper newspaper review ones at some point. Right, Daily Mail is coming last. We're now on to the Times. Times goes with My Brutal Year, an interview with Tom Parker Bowles, but there is a funny bit in that interview where he's asked whether him getting caught with coke was to do with being stressed, and he said no, he just loved raving. So some credit for Tom Parker Bowles there. Critical support for Tom Parker Bowles on that one. They, just like the Telegraph, have a feature on Tony Blair's haircut, which, basically this is what newspapers are now. Everything you saw on social media, but 2 days late and not as entertaining. The headline they go with is Blair Hair Bunch, which tribe do you belong to? Next story down, meeting indoors after 2 jabs is safe. It's just not allowed. Same coverage of yesterday's Downing Street press conference. The main Times story is Downing Street concern at paper trail to PM's flat. I think now what's happening is Number 10 are doing these sort of strategic leaks to try and slowly drip out details about what the Electoral Commission will find, so that when the Commission ends up reporting, people will be like, yeah, well, we knew all this already. And the other story is Britain is finally ready to welcome the EU ambassador in London officially. Slinkermeyer says Tony Blair currently looks like a critter from Labyrinth. That is a perfect comparison. On page 3 of the Times, writer who put fire back into grieving Thrones star. A bond has been forged between the Mother of Dragons and the postmodernist writer. The Game of Thrones actress Emilia Clarke has discovered that her love for the late Jenny Diski, the experimental novelist and candid essayist, was reciprocal. While Diski's spare prose helped the actress to cope with the death of her father, the writer liked nothing better than watching Clarke portray Daenerys Targaryen, a Mother of Dragons, in the fantasy TV series. Clarke revealed last year to her millions of Instagram followers that she discovered a posthumously published collection of Diski's essays, which she said this week helped her as she grieved for her father. One person who saw her Instagram post was Diski's widower, Ian Patterson, a poet and life fellow of Queen's College, Cambridge. He contacted Clarke to say, funny you should say that, my wife wanted to be you. After the pair were brought together, Patterson told the 34-year-old London-born actress, it was very wonderful to see you holding the book. Well, that is a nice story. They cover the massive coin, the humongo coin. Not so small change. New £10,000 gold coin is a 10-kilogram beast. The Royal Mint has unveiled the largest coin in its 1,100-year history. The Mint said it spent 400 hours producing the single 10-kilogram gold coin, which it described as a masterwork. The 20-centimetre wide coin, which carries a denomination of £10,000, was created by a team that the Mint said combined traditional skills with innovative technology. Modern engraving machines cut the intricate design onto the precious metal before a toolmaker handworked the coin, removing any marks made by the cutting process. Starting with the Lion of England in 2017. It marks the end of the Royal Mint's Queen's Beasts commemorative coin collection, which started in 2017 with the Lion of England and has gone on to include griffins, dragons, unicorns, etc. The coin is for sale, but not at its £10,000 in its £10,000 denomination. The Mint said a price was available on application. Versions of the design will also be available in a range of finishes, starting at £13 for a £5 denomination coin, classified as brilliant uncirculated, a category of collectible of a higher standard than circulating and bullion coins. Fancy Agatha Christie murder weapon coins, says Mark Canosis. Beast coins, says Slinkermeyer. Did they include the most mythical of beasts, non-racist Tory voters? Yeah, they not only do they not exist, they don't exist. AI radiographer will lend a hand with wrist injuries. Doctors will soon be using artificial intelligence to help to detect fractured bones. Researchers in the Netherlands have developed software that is able to detect a common type of wrist fracture that can be hard for doctors to spot when looking at x-rays. Good. That's a good use of AI, if it works. William and Kate crown 10 years of married life is the arse-kissing headline on the Times' coverage of that. Quentin Letts is a piece of shit. Johnson denies breaking rules over Downing Street refurbishment is the headline for that. Letts' political sketch goes, PM turns shade of red in fancy decor melodrama. Honestly, Quentin Letts is paid very highly to produce writing that a trainee would be ashamed of. Police search for stranger after murder of PCSO, age 53. Terrible. Snowdon may be ditched in favour of the Welsh name of the mountain, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, but fine. Research claims that bantering David Brent-style bosses make the best managers. Fuck off. Britain buys 60 million Pfizer doses for autumn third jabs. Fine, great. Holidays still in limbo after mixed messages on vaccine passports. So many of us don't get to go on holiday full stop. Jesus Christ. McQueen dramas lead field of BAFTA awards. Good news. Small Axe, Steve McQueen's anthology of films about the lives of West Indian families in Britain has done very well, turning up in a good number of categories there. A convicted terrorist who killed 2 Cambridge graduates had been using phone sex lines in the lead up to the attack, an inquest heard yesterday. I'm not quite sure what the relevance to the story was, to the inquest was here. Usman Khan, an Islamic extremist, had started using cocaine and receiving sex text messages after his release from jail 11 months ago. It's this classic thing where they go, these guys are all hypocrites, which they tend to be. But then if you're someone, why am I on a no-fly list? Oh, no, I'm not. It's just I'm usually skinned. The furthest we go for holidays is a person in the room's family in Northern Ireland, which is very nice. Yoldy Stomp, the newspapers and Facebook are the same. Got a mate who uses Facebook and sends me memes, and I'm nice. But mate, I'm in the group chaps that Focus tested this post a week ago. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Terry writes that sex line thing is weird and bad. Yeah. The killer's older brother, who had been granted anonymity by the coroner, addressed the families of the victims, saying, "We're truly sad for the events that happened. Whoever's been affected physically or mentally, we are really sorry as a family. Really, really sad. I just want to get it off my chest." The brother said he had been unaware of Khan's drug consumption and use of sex lines. The courts heard that Khan had gone through an unofficial Islamic marriage, but never lived as man and wife before being jailed. He had considered marrying a young girl in Pakistan after his release. Yesterday, the inquest heard that Khan had told his family he was just a silly kid after being convicted of plotting to set up a jihadist training camp. Khan had become more remorseful in prison after being jailed at the age of 19, his brother said. He told the inquest that his family had learned of the training camp charges from the media. Although the family made daily telephone calls and frequent visits during Khan's 8 years in jail, they never discussed the reason for his conviction, the inquest heard. According to the brother, who was 7 years older than Khan, "We did not turn a blind eye. We tried to do the best we could. We didn't ask him about his current attitude to religion, but he didn't seem religious." His brother, the 4th eldest of 7 siblings, told the inquest that their father had arrived in Stoke-on-Trent from Pakistan in the 1960s. He married their mother in Pakistan in the 1980s, and the 2 eldest were born here before the family moved back to the UK. See, they could have focused on what the family had said, but instead they wanted to go for the salacious angle. Interesting, isn't it? Slinkermeyer, whorephobia by proxy. Power sharing in doubt after Foster quits. Arlene Foster quit as leader of the Democratic Unionist Party. People say it's for Brexit, but really it's because she was not sufficiently homophobic for her party, because she only abstained on a amendment about same-sex marriage rather than voting against it. Camping and poetry as City's unfinished £186 million arts centre. The delayed and over-budget symbol of the Northern Powerhouse is finally to be open for a weekend of camping and poetry. The shell of the unfinished £186 million arts centre, the Factory in Manchester, will host a field of luminous tents housing a murmuring soundscape of poetry as part of the city's biennial international festival. Right. The Times' coverage of Tony Sewell's comments is, Race Review chief hits back at vile distortion of his slavery comments. No, we just read what you wrote in the report. Universities institutionally racist, says Vice Chancellor. A Vice Chancellor has described universities institutionally racist and says incidents of harassment are underreported. Professor David Richardson, head of the University of East Anglia, leads the advisory group on racial harassment for Universities UK, which represents Vice Chancellors. He said, "I think that historically students who experience racial harassment have not felt able to report it or felt safe to report it for various reasons. There are mixed experiences, but many aren't good. There is a lot of evidence that points towards universities perpetuating systematic racism, being institutionally racist, and I have acknowledged that on behalf of the sector." That seems reasonable. Office workers are happier with backs to the wall. Want to be productive when you return to the office? Secret may be light in picking a desk with the perfect view. Researchers have found that keeping our backs to the wall and having colleagues sitting in front of us is associated with feeling more productive. Yeah, it's also associated with knowing that people can't spy on what you're working on or not working on. Ally of union boss helped disgraced council director is how they continue trying to get Ellen McCloskey effectively. Good afternoon, Polly. Good to see you. Citizen Kane loses out to Paddington. Citizen Kane is a cinematic landmark fused with the ambition of its creator that's for 80 years contended for the title of best film ever made. But Paddington 2 is a charming adventure about a bear with a weakness for marmalade sandwiches that also features Hugh Grant dancing. Basically, Paddington 2 is now now the top film on Rotten Tomatoes, and people are annoyed because it should remain Citizen Kane forever. Citizen Kane is a fine film, but watch it now and you will find that it feels. Yeah, it's no Paddington 2. Also, it feels slow, and as with anything that is groundbreaking, further ground has been broken since. So, you know, a lot of the shots and stuff that Kane did in Citizen, Orson Welles did in Citizen Kane were groundbreaking. But now stuff that's in that film has been used and improved and iterated on for decades. People also don't understand how Rotten Tomatoes work. Yes, agreed, Tara writes. Uncritical support for Paddington 2. Yu-Gi-Oh! Paddington 2 is undefeatable. It's a really good film. Most students want sexual consent tests, according to research by the Higher Education Policy Institute, which conducted last year. Although it was only with a group of 1,004 students. But that doesn't seem like a bad idea to me either. Railway Children rewrite gives young Phyllis a say. Dame Jacqueline Wilson has rewritten the story of Railway Children. She felt the original neglected the youngest character. Or just write new stories. Children turn over a new leaf as book lovers bounce back. Is a survey of more than 1 million children found that many fell back in love with reading and read harder and longer books. See, there were studies around this. What went on during the pandemic, need to be a bit more nuanced like that. What we found, what's been found at the primary school inner city London primary school where I'm a governor is actually that there wasn't a need for a recovery curriculum in the way everyone had said we would need. Kids have come back performing, not that differently to how they would have performed anyway. Tara writes, people get so weird about Rotten Tomatoes. Like, people get in my mentions and comments for a week where I had the only negative review on that Hammersley film. Stunning fangirl, news stories, what are those? Yeah. David Aronovich says, could a very French coup ever happen here? The different post-war histories of Britain and France make us less vulnerable to an alliance of generals and the far right. Oh, really? Does anyone remember what senior members of the security services and military said when there was even the remotest possibility that Jeremy Corbyn might become Prime Minister? I do. See my Twitter for some of those that I picked up. Laura Freeman writes, gossip is what we crave when COVID is done. Janice Turner writes an absolutely appallingly written notebook. I'm not even going to go through it, but I tweeted about it yesterday. The backlash over big government has begun, says Ian Martin, a man for whom claiming that there's too much government is the hammer and everything looks like a nail. Slinker Meyer, our far right is just sneakier, yeah, and fully infiltrated into our aristocracy, who look at the pre-war aristocracy, the pre-World War II aristocracy and its support and absolute love for fascism, and the way that people like Mosley and his wife Diana Mitford were still interviewed on major TV shows and still part of society after post-war. In the birthdays today, Hamish Stevenson, founder of Fast Track Research and Events Company, is 60. Andre Agassi, tennis player, former world number 1, is 51. Lisa Allen, the executive chef at Northcote Manor, is 40. Frank Auerbach, the painter, is 90. General Sir Peter de Billiere, DSO, MC and Bar, Gulf War Commander, is 87. Bob and Mike Bryan, the doubles tennis players, Olympic gold medalists in 2012, are 43. Baroness Linda Chalker of Wallasey, the Conservative Minister for Overseas Development till 1997, is 79. Sir Daniel Day-Lewis, the actor, There Will Be Blood, Phantom Thread, etc., is 64. Baroness Ruth Deach, chairwoman of the Bar Standards Board until 2014, is 55. Anita Dobson, actress, EastEnders amongst others, 72. Baroness Rennie Fritchie, Commissioner for Public Appointments until 2005, is 79. Sir John Holmes, Chairman of the Electoral Commission until March 2021. Director of the Ditchley Foundation until 2016, is 70. Professor Sir Ian Kershaw, the historian known for Roller Coaster Europe 1950 to 2017, is 78. Zubin Mehta, the conductor, is 85. Willie Nelson, the singer-songwriter, is 88. Happy birthday to Willie Nelson. Smoke it up, mate. Michelle Pfeiffer, the actress, 63. Vince Power, music festival promoter and founder of the Mean Fiddler pub group and promotion group, is 74. Brendan Purcell, director of performance, British Rowing, is 51. Lord Jacob Rothschild, investment banker, president of RIT Capital Partners until 2019, is 85. Fred Scarlett, the rower and Olympic gold medalist in the year 2000, is 46. Jerry Seinfeld, what's all that about, is 67. Derek Tyndall, the painter, is 89. Uma Thurman, the actress and victim of Quentin Tarantino's foot fetish, is 51. Phil Tufnell, the cricketer until 2001 and TV personality now, unfortunately, is 55. Martin Whitmarsh, the chairman of BAR Technologies, chief executive of Land Rover BAR's America's Cup team until 2017, and McLaren Formula One team principal until 2014, is 63. On this day in 1916, after 6 days of fighting, Irish nationalists surrendered to British forces in Dublin, bringing the Easter Rising to an end. And the last word in this column today goes to Annie Besant, the socialist and writer, from her book The Life and Teachings of Mohammed, 1932.
And my nephew's 10 today.
Oh, coincidence.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to person in the room's nephew, Kuan, who is 10 today. Last word goes to Annie Besant, socialist and writer, from her book The Life and Teachings of Muhammad, 1932. A prophet is always much wider than his followers, much more liberal than those who label themselves with his name. As Mark Canosa said, if Seinfeld is 67, how old would that make the 17-year-old girl he dated in the 90s? So creepy. In the world news, they talk about Biden's announcements. Biden spends big again in quest to reshape America. China takes great leap backward as its population falls. Hit and misses of busy presidents first 100 days. They break that down. Gun lobby chief's botched attempt to shoot elephant provokes anger. The leader of America's gun lobby was filmed botching the shooting of an adult elephant during a hunt in Africa and failing to put it out of his misery at point blank range. Footage of Wayne LaPierre's trophy hunt in Botswana in 2013 has emerged after the National Rifle Association, which commissioned it as a promotional feature, decided against broadcasting the material. I think that Wayne LaPierre should be put out of his misery at point-blank range in a Minecraft simulation. France arrests Red Brigade's terrorists after years of refuge. President Macron has announced the arrest of 7 left-wing radicals convicted of terrorism offences in Italy in the 1970s and 80s, who have since been allowed to live freely in France. The move is seen as an attempt to cement an improvement in diplomatic relations with Italy, which sought their extradition for years. However, it left Macron facing accusations that he betrayed a pledge by France to provide asylum to former members of the Red Brigades. Among those arrested was Marina Petrella, 66, who was convicted in Italy in her absence in 1992 of murder, kidnapping, attempted kidnapping, and armed robbery. She was arrested in 2007, but Nicolas Sarkozy, the president at the time, refused to extradite her after Carla Bruni Sarkozy, his Italian-born wife, pressed for Petrella to be allowed to remain. After the years of lead, reference to the bullets fired from the 60s to the 80s, including the murder in 1978 of the former Prime Minister Aldo Moro, dozens of former Red Brigades members fled to France. Francois Mitterrand, the socialist head of state from 1981 to 1995, allowed them to stay provided they renounced violence, and many became respectable members of the community. However, Italy's continued to call for their extradition, prompting Macron to revise a policy that appeared increasingly difficult to square with his pro-European stance. Macron being a fascist, I'm shocked, yeah. Macron gives spies power to track jihadists' encrypted messaging, and also basically powers to track many people's encrypted messaging. That new biography of Philip Roth has been pulped after the author was accused of sexual assaults, including the grooming of students that he taught in the 90s. Giuliani's home has been raided. Diana's law firm is to float in London. Partners at Mishcon de Reya, the law firm that represent Princess Diana and her divorced Prince of Wales, has voted to list on the stock exchange. Mishcon de Reyes is a very famous law firm, has represented many other people. That angle from the Times is almost express level pathetic. Ashikon. So there's a choice in the next French presidential election. Either France elects an unpleasant republic chronic fascist who promises much and delivers nothing, or elects Le Pen. Yeah. Monet can't bite Samsung heirs a way out of their £7.8 billion tax bill. The heirs of South Korea's Samsung conglomerate face inheritance tax bill of $7.8 billion, despite giving away a $1.3 billion art collection and donating half as much again to help tackle child cancer and infectious diseases. Good. You shouldn't be able to bribe your way out of a tax bill. If it's owed, it's owed. The Duke of Westminster's property company swung to a loss last year, but the dividend it paid to the aristocratic family and trust rose to $47.5 million. Grosvenor Group, which has an $11.1 billion portfolio of assets, including properties in Belgravia, London, Vancouver, and Tokyo, was hit by a fall in rental income and property valuations during the pandemic. Boo-hoo-hoo. Fuck landlords. Apple's bid for moral high ground on privacy is good for business. Yes. Correct analysis by Simon Duke. Sainsbury's chief sticks to his guns despite £261 million loss. WH Smith puts its money on travel taking off. It's hoping it's going to be able to, get more sales through its stores in airports. Wasn't Macron the one with the weird gold complex too, says Ashkan? Like, acts as if he's Jupiter or something. Pretty much. He's the only French president I've ever actually met. I met him when he was previously a minister for technology and stuff, and he was sinister. In the register, in the obituary, Michael Collins, of course, the astronaut who flew the Apollo 11 command module. John Hopkins, Anglo-American writer whose beautiful diaries captured the bohemian life of the literary set, who moved to Tangier in the 1960s. He's died at age 82, sadly, after a fall. And Lord Smith of Clifton, curmudgeony, yet also sometimes witty liberal peer. Curmudgeony just means he was an absolute fucker. That's what they mean when they put that in an obit. Lord Smith of Clifton, he died of septicemia on April 24th, 2021. He was 83 years old. They're trying to sell you the vibrating pad that makes your circulation better, as advertised by Eamon Holmes. Still trying to get you to do equity release on your home, more cruises. And in the sport, loving Paris in the spring, City produced stunning Champions League comeback to take control of semi-final. Paris Saint-Germain 1, Manchester City 2. So that was the Times. Very few good animal stories. Good, i.e. horrible slice of Islamophobia. When I think good circulation, I think Eamon Holmes, says Mark Kenosis. Celine Kamaya, yes, circulation, just another personal massager, yeah. So anyway, that was the Times. Give me your scores. For me, minus 1,000, particularly for the weird framing of that story around the Islamic extremism and whatever. Ged Station 0, solid 0. Mark Knos in with a minus 100. Yu-Gi-Oh with a minus 100. Terror Rights minus 100,000. Fucking dire. Oh, good. We got a big followers person come in. I'm fine. I don't want any big follows. I just want normal size follows. Double negative nice from Slinker Meyer. And yes, now we come to the final paper of the day. It is the Daily Mail. And on the front page of the Daily Mail today, of course, we get some royal sucking up. On wedding anniversary, 10 years on and never more in love. Bullshit. And the main story, after Mail's wallpaper gate exposes Boris painted into a corner. Official probe into number 10 decor scandal. Johnson could be first PM interviewed under caution. And if that happens, expect the really tedious Line of Duty parodies to just swallow up the papers. On page 3 of the Daily Mail, we get Kate and Williams happy ever after. Fuck it, they're laying it on thick. Polly, 1787, got to write a list of quality papers for the pre-A-level students to read, proving tricky. Yeah, difficult. Tara writes, shout out to the little bro small follows. Chronotherm, have they elongated Will's forehead to Brendan levels? Not quite, but it's pretty bad. Pretty's anger after anti-newspaper activist cleared middle-class boat stunt was an attack on the free press, she claims. The yellow boat on a trailer that blocked... she said it sets a dangerous precedent. Boo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, Keith already got there with Line of Duty, tedious Line of Duty comparisons. Just how bad could it be? PM may face 5-figure fine and even a common suspension. Even that! Probe will prove no one's above the law, claims Professor David Howarth, former electoral commissioner. I'm going to bet he's still above the law. Mail exposes he can't paper over. The Mail loves to support itself. But that does make kind of striking viewing. 1, 2, 3, 11 days worth of headlines. How convenient. PM can overrule new ethics chief, writes Daniel Martin, the policy editor. Toughest gig yet for top aide who put Queen in a parachute is they're framing for Lord Geit becoming the standards boss. He won't do anything. Rishi, I paid for my flat makeover myself. The Treasury has revealed. There's someone who wants to be Prime Minister. I didn't make bodies remark, insists Boris. Let's see what happens there. Arlene quits, DUP leader ousted over post-Brexit border backlash. That's not the main reason, but they do say note the other reason, the real reason, because she didn't vote against a ban on gay conversion therapy, which did not, so she was not sufficiently bigoted in the eyes of her DUP colleagues. Daily Mail says third wave fears recede. That means we'll probably end up with one. Cap on funeral mourners is unfair. MPs have told Boris. It probably is at this point. Stephen Glover, he's chaotic, careless and cavalier, and it has to stop. Could be any politician, but in this case, he's talking about Tony Blair. Tony Blair to Boris Johnson. So's Tony Blair, to be fair. Arrested for quoting Bible. Anger of Preacher 71 held overnight after homophobic reading from Genesis. Fuck off. Back to your roots, Tony. Cut it out. Richard Ward, hairdresser to the stars, says, comparing a picture of Tony Blair from his student days with his current hairstyle. I mean, Jesus. Amanda Platel says, no, leave it. I want to run my fingers through it, and says she has a crush on Tony Blair. Look, there's what's the fan fiction site that you can... Yeah, she should just go on AO3 if she wants to write Tony Blair fan fiction. Britney's day in court. Britney Spears is set to appear in court today as she fights to overturn the conservatorship, which has been in place since 2008. Okay, look at me. Let's do it. 10 years ago today, 2.4 billion watched William and Kate tie the knot. Now in sublime detail, master storyteller Jonathan Mayer retells each glorious moment and the words that sparked that kiss. It's like a minute by minute for a wedding that happened 10 years ago. Fuck off. Just fuck off. Go, Britney, go. How do you do a homophobic reading from Genesis? I assume with some heavy exegesis. Yeah. Or do they mean Phil Collins' Genesis? Mick, were you there for Fanfiction Waifu Wednesday? I was not. In Female Magazine, why it's suddenly wicked to be a witch. One says she's conjured up her soulmate, another that spells helped her beat COVID. After the pandemic triggering a boom in middle-class career women reaching for tarot cards, wands, and crystals. Oh, fuck off. Right, April 29th, 2021, on this date, from the Daily Mail archive, April 29th, 1967. Cassius Clay refused to become a soldier and faces a 5-year jail sentence. The world heavyweight boxing champion stood still when asked to step forward for induction into the U.S. Army at Houston, Texas. Clay, 25, who calls himself Muhammad Ali, claims exemption from conscription as a black Muslim minister. you know, that's really racist, but the Daily Mail would write similar now. April 29th, 1986, the Daily Mail wrote, scores of Russians are feared dead and hundreds more hit by radiation sickness after what is believed to be the world's worst nuclear accident at Chernobyl atomic power station in Ukraine. It is thought that the nuclear core of one of the 4 giant reactors melted. Happy birthday to Uma Thurman, who's 51, and Michelle Pfeiffer, who's 63, born on this day. Also, Hirohito, the 124th Emperor of Japan, who was the country's longest reigning monarch. He was born in 1901 and died in 1989. 62 years on the throne. Longest surviving of the World War II heads of state. His final official appearance was at a ceremony commemorating the anniversary of the end of the conflict. And also Fred Dibner, 1938 to 2004, steeplejack from Bolton, found fame after appearing 240 foot up in the air, repairing the town hall clock on local news. He was such a steam engine obsessive that when Alison, his first of 3 wives, left him, taking their 3 daughters, she complained, he's married to his engines. On April 29th in 1909, Liberal Chancellor David Lloyd George introduced his People's Budget to Parliament, giving over 70s a pension. His speech lasted 4.5 hours, with only a cup of beer, tea, beef tea for refreshment. Beef tea. In 1978, the Bee Gees were riding high with Night Fever, their 3rd UK #1. Quote of the day, human speech is like a cracked kettle on which we tap crude rhythms for bears to dance to while we long to make music that will melt the stars. So that's the words of Gustave Flaubert, the French novelist. And the joke of the day, what did one wall say to the other wall? I'll meet you on the corner. Hirohito, the only Japanese emperor to be beaten up by Bugs Bunny. Bet the Mail are massive Hirohito fans, says Ashicum, yeah. 7 bras every woman must own. Apparently. Fine. Is sex really important later in life? Yes, says Janet Street Porter. No, says Marion McGilvery. Okay. Fine. The Mail is trying to sell you soft furnishings from its special mail shop. Any reason? Why could this be linked to the Boris Johnson soft furnishing story, like a subliminal thing? I mean, probably not. Jenny Murray says, I've no idea if I broke COVID rules, and I can't be the only one. And Woke Brigade should leave Baroness Betty Boothroyd alone. The Woke Brigade. Tom Revenshaw says, Tom Rawstorn says, it's the May bank holiday money. It's sunny-ish. Time to break out the portable barbecue. So which one lights your fire? He reviews some portable barbecues. The one that gets the best score is the Lotus Grill Smokeless Charcoal Barbecue. But it's £150. The next best one is a Backpack Barbie, the Yuko Grilliput Backpack Grill, £40.93 from Amazon. Who the fuck can afford 7 bras, says Lincoln Meyer?
7 bras for 7 brothers.
Yeah. Did you read this thing about 7 bras every woman should own? Hang on, person in the room is coming to review the 7 bras that every woman should own. Bear with me, caller.
What?
The timeless classic.
No. Excuse me, £345. Fuck off.
The Super Lace High Apex Plunge Bra.
That would not provide any support.
Not just brilliant for brides, the Halo Lace Bra.
Fuck off.
Best sports bra ever, the Ultimate Rum Bra, £32.25.
I have one of those, they're good.
Sweaty Betty, the workout wear that looks good.
Yeah.
Plunge Bra from Ann Summers, that looks shit.
On Summers, Jesus Christ.
And the Pretty Summer Pastel, £28 from Marks and Spencer's. That would not provide adequate support either.
No.
No. By the daughter of British Bravolutionary Janet Rieger.
This is bullshit.
Right, so there you go. That's the bra. £340 for a bra. What the fuck does it do, says Chronotherm. Get Station says hello, person in the room.
Hello.
The 7th bra of a 7th bride, says Yu-Gi-Oh! One of these better be a Xena-style metal bra, says Markanosis. When I woke up from a coma, I knew in my heart that Lewis had passed away, writes Tessa Cunningham. Talking to Chris Thorgold, who's counting the days until his wife comes home for fucking hell. It's one of the most shattering stories you'll read. The longed-for IVF baby killed by a driver as his mum pushed his pram home. Now his parents share their grief. The Daily Mail are such misery hounds. Alice Smith, how my mother's bullying drove me to the brink. Again, misery hounds. Which of your outfits is a treasure trove of memories? They recall laughter, love, grief, and joy. Now a TV series explores the emotion woven into our wardrobe. Liz Jones says, I hoped in the right kit I'd be fearless. I mean, you fearlessly write bullshit all the time. Adele Parks says, a daring choice of clothes changed her life. And Trish Halpin says, fashion is an armor that protects her. And the token man, Simon Mills, says, wearing my dad's clothes helps to keep his memory alive. The mail is full of such weird people. In the virtual date, a rare gay date from the Daily Mail with Mark 35 on a date with Paul 49. He looks young for his age and I look older than mine, says Paul. Mark says Paul was really smiling and welcoming and he liked my hair. They both went for 8 out of 10s. Liked Paul. It's been a while since I've had such a laugh. Regret spilling Prosecco. See him again. Definitely. Paul's verdict. The new experience. Regrets. No, I'd do it again. See him again. Yes, for drinks. Good. Love them. Well done. Bravolutionary is such a weird stretch. Weird J. Edgar Hoover vibes there. Yet someone wearing their dead family members' clothes, like a lot of them, is a bit Jimmy Savile keeping his mother's clothes vibes. Critics' Choice in the TV, Gardening with Carol Klein, 7 p.m, Channel 5, Dragon's Den, 8 p.m, BBC 1, Saved by a Stranger, 9 p.m, BBC 2, Escape to the Farm with Kate Humble, 8 p.m, Channel 5, This Is My House, 9 p.m, BBC 1, and the film choices, Killer Dearest, which is on at 2:15 on Channel 5, Emily Rose stars in this TV movie thriller as Annie, who is pulled over for a traffic offence while driving her boyfriend's car. But Annie's bad day turns into a full-on nightmare when police find a bloody knife in the vehicle. And also you could watch The Spy Who Loved Me again, 9 p.m, ITV4. Codebreaker, which is about Alan Turing, gets 5 stars from Christopher Stevens. The Great British Sewing Bee gets 4 stars. Studying Funko, you fearlessly write bullshit all the time. Yeah, I am not, as you may guess, a fan of Liz Jones. In Garfield hanging from a tree branch saying something bad is going to happen, though not to me. The tree branch falls down and he crashes on someone's car. In Chloe and Co, a man and Chloe are sat drinking and talking about relationships. And in Fred Bassett and his owner are looking out of the window at the rain. Fred Bassett owner's wife says, are you taking Fred for his the female member of the two owners of Fred Bassett says, are you taking Fred for his walk, dear? And he says, I'm hoping that the rain will ease off a little. And Fred Bassett is thinking, I'm hoping that the rain will ease off a lot. Poor old Fred. Male editors clearly hate Liz Jones. Her columns used to be called Liz Jones Moans. Yeah, they kind of just use her, really. Right, okay, in the straight-to-the-point letters, Tony Freshwater writes, Mother of God, Boris, it's time to call AC-12. Ted, Kate, and Steve will soon sort out the leaking cesspit at number 10, and while they're at it, they can have a go at the unelected resident at number 11. If Steve Kellett says, if Boris did make the let the bodies pile high comment, to which bodies was he referring? The COVID-19 deaths or the tens of thousands who will die of untreated malignant diseases? Malcolm Wotton of Dursley says, current Whitehall releases prove that Sir Humphrey Appleby in TV's Yes Minister was right when he said the ship of state is the only one that leaks from the top. Roderick Archer says, it takes 20 minutes to send a signal to Mars. Almost as long as it takes to get through to a British bank. Ken Lovett says, so Standard Life Aberdeen thinks that changing its name to Aberdeen will help create a modern, agile, digitally enabled brand. What a load bollocks. He's taken the vowels out of load of bollocks. Judy Rollins, not the mother of Henry Rollins, writes, really, Boris? Couldn't you have gone to B&Q, got some brilliant white emulsion and a few rolls of analgipta? Analgipta? What is analgipta?
It's like flocked wallpaper.
Oh, right. I fucking hate that. And done up number 10 and 11 Downing Street. After all, you are living in an official British property. And George Clark says, Any COVID passport should be called the John Prescott to prove you've had 2 jabs. Fucking hell. Yu-Gi-Oh! Correct. People calling for fictional characters to do things is really weird. Today's recipe is roasted broccoli with pui lentils and tahini yogurt. Fine, quite like that. They still want you to go on cruises. They're trying to sell you anti-fog cloths for your glasses. Trying to sell you a vacuum cleaner, turmeric and honey pills, supplement pills for your dog, walk-in showers, and I'm afraid no coins for sale today. Very disappointing, but I guess we had a coin overload yesterday. And on the back page, Sacre Bleu, Pep's perfect night. No, Sacre Bleu, Pep's perfect night in Paris as Mahrez Magic puts City on brink. Home Office take on social media giants. What?
Not you.
Work.
Yes.
Someone person in the room's work is not pleased her. Daily Mail, that's the Daily Mail. Score for that, for me, it's a minus. Triple nice. Not even good animal stories. Sorry that the letters aren't helping your depression get station, I hope. But then again, you are reminded that people are more tedious than you. Yeah. Chronotherm, no point attempting to sell coins on today. The announcement of the biggest coin. Yeah, that's a good point. Scores for Markinosis, minus 99. 1 point for Fred. Yeah, fair dues. Right, time for the roll call. And also a reminder, if you love the show, or even like the show, or even can tolerate the show, one way to help me keep it going and just, helps me keep the whole show on the road is to contribute to the newspaper fund. PayPal.me/Conquest or the Useless. Or, subscribe here using either money or the Amazon Prime one where you can just subscribe for free. So anyway, PayPal.me/Conquest of the Useless is a newspaper fund. Terror Rights, minus 100, just typical mail nonsense for the Daily Mail. Minus 99 from Markinosis, as I said. Minus, it's the triple negative nice from Slinker and minus coins out of 10 from Get Station, and a minus big coins from Yu-Gi-Oh! Thank you, as ever, for joining me on the here for the show. I'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. with a magazine special. If you want to, at the last moment, get to choose what that magazine will be, make a contribution to the paper fund this afternoon, and you will be able to decide what magazine it is. Otherwise, it'll be a random pick from a W. Smith's. So I am the Broken Bottle Boy. Follow me on Twitter at Broken Bottle Boy and on TikTok at Useless Conquests. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Endorsed TikTok, in fact. Thank you for all of you tuning in. Another TT viewer. Arid Tracks, Ashikan, Aiton, Carbot 14XYZ, Commander Root, Dick Pendrin, Discord for Streamers, Yu-Gi-Oh! Ged Station, Industrial Pet, Chronotherm, Mark Kenosis, Pauline 1787, Slinker Meyer, Studying Fangirl, Terror Rights, Yodi Stomach Pump, and Zoe Brings Bacon. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good afternoon. And of course, if you need me, I'm there on Twitter.